Nice talking to you, honey. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I am flattered. Thank you. Well, thank you. Well, let me just, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, thank you. I am flattered. You may be seated. Well, it's true. This is our last television program with the Donahue signature on it. After 29 years and more than 6,000 shows, here we are. And my guest for this, and incidentally, we have a lot of people in our audience that I didn't expect to be here. I mean, half the Notre Dame class of 1957 is here. We have... Go Irish! We have folks who worked our show in Dayton and Chicago and 30 Rock at NBC here in New York, and of course the hardworking folks here at the News Talk channel that have been our hosts here for the past year. I'm pleased to welcome my daughter to our audience, and just want you to know you're making a former daytime talk show host feel very, very good. I thank you one and all for being here. Now, she was a secretary in 1967 when we started. Only 3 folks in the office. Dick Mintzer was our executive producer. Pat McMillan was the secretary, dutifully taking notes while the wise old men made decisions. And as the days went on, it was clear that she had often better ideas than we did. She began as the secretary, and she is now the executive producer of our program. She's been with us for the whole stretch, wall to wall. She has warmed up every audience of the more than 6,000. We have quite literally appeared before over 1 million people in the studio audience, and here's the woman who welcomed them all, the executive producer of our program, Patricia McMillan. Look at this. Look at you here. I'm gonna knock them out. Look at this. Have a seat there, young woman. I loved this haircut. I really did. I was so disappointed when she got rid of it. But you had it even higher. Boy, some days you had a beehive that went all the way up
well,
there.
I had a wig and a hairpiece, and I just socked it on top of my head when I was too busy.
This is a proud graduate of Arcanum High School in Arcanum, Ohio. This is the former Patty Baker, who never, ever thought she'd wind up in this kind of situation. I'm telling you, you've done more naughty shows than ought to be admitted by the average woman.
But they were all your idea, Phil.
They were. They were. Well,
let's talk about the first 2 weeks and some of the things.
Let's do. Tell them what you've done.
The first couple of weeks, people think that some of the things we do now and that a lot of the talk shows do are so outrageous. In our first 2 weeks of the show, the Donahue show, our first guest was Madeline Murray O'Hare. And I must say that I have looked high and low for Madeline. She's missing, as you all know, because I would rather be behind the scenes than in front of the camera. So I have looked. We
wanted to end with Madeline. We began with Madeline. We started Chicago with Madeline, and we started New York with Madeline. Madeline came to our 25th anniversary program. Where's Madeline?
Supposedly they were on their way to New York to pick at the Pope. Her son was, and she called. I mean, well, we were trying to get her on the show then too.
Well, what else is an atheist going to do?
Yeah. So anyway, they called up and they called back in their office and said they were going on vacation and that they were fine, but they were going to take a couple weeks off and go on elsewhere, and they haven't been heard from since.
We've actually televised the birth of a baby the first week we're on the air.
Which now, if you televise it, it's still outrageous. You did it in Chicago and had to write all the general manager's letters, and a prize was coming, and then still some of them didn't air it.
Some people just don't want this on TV. What else you got?
The little brother doll.
Well, the little brother doll was an anatomically correct doll, and I held it up. And I said, is this a good thing for your children? And there he was with his, there he was. And I said, you remember, If you think this is good for kids, call Baldwin 279. If you think no, call Baldwin 6 and give another number. Yes, no. The entire Baldwin exchange went out in Dayton. People couldn't get, it wasn't funny. I mean, people couldn't call an ambulance. They couldn't call, emergency. Totally jammed. Emergency calls are being made to please stop this right now. And so, I guess this is a long way of saying we entered screaming.
Plus the fact that all of the people who had credit cards at the local store that sold the doll, which you also announced on the air and with one of our sponsors, called up and were cutting their credit cards in half and never going to frequent the store again. So that didn't make the sponsors too happy.
Right. Yeah, right. Little brother lost, incidentally.
Yeah. Okay, and then, well, we did the former Governor George Wallace, Barbara Dobranic on drugs, and then we did a thing on the housewife's response and the mother's response to the little brother doll. Then the 10th show, or the last day of the second week, was Clark Pollock, and he was a homosexual president of the Mattachine Society in Boston.
This is 1967. I mean, nobody was out of the closet. Right. And comes this Clark Pollock, a very articulate guy. He walks right in, sits right down. I introduce him. Here is a real homosexual. I mean, people didn't leave the barber shop even when their hair had been cut. Watching a real live... People called, they said, and this guy was saying, gayness is not a moral issue. It's not, we are people, you must respect us. And this is 1967. We had people who watched us who felt that their kids would catch it by watching it.
You got a million letters implying birds of a feather.
Yeah.
I mean, several people wrote the same line.
Yeah, I remember a woman downtown later that day in Dayton came up to me. She said, well, who's your friend? And I remember how nervous I was, too. Holy cow, I mean, after all, 1967, people are... we went through all those, I think we're forced to come to grips with our own homophobia, discover who we are, and begin to learn.
It's interesting that those things have now come full circle, and people are now seeing them as new ideas, and we're having to start all over as a society to a certain extent.
Nothing has changed except, some things have changed.
Well,
obviously, one of the nice things about what we've done is so many people have come up to me in public places to say, thank you for your show. I came out to my parents because of you, and my dad didn't jump out the window, and everything's fine.
Well, yes, it has helped some, but still, it seems like you've gone a long way.
Well, here's one. Here's an example. Do you want to show them the cut one here?
Sure.
Well, we had a gay kiss. I mean, right here on our stage, two guys kissed each other. Oh, man. They got married on our show. Well, we heard from the Christians following this one. Here's the concluding part of the ceremony of two guys who literally, this is legit, they got married on the Donahue show. And, well, you'll see. Watch this.
Wayne, repeat after me. I, Wayne Watson.
I, Wayne Watson.
Take you, Michael Marlowe.
Take you, Michael Marlowe.
As my lifetime companion.
As my lifetime companion.
And give you this ring.
And I give you this ring.
As a symbol of this commitment.
As a symbol of this commitment.
For as much as Michael and Wayne have consented together in a total commitment of their love for each other, and you have witnessed the same, the exchange of these rings, this commitment is now complete. Let us pray.
Now, I want to just tell you, we included that in the 25th anniversary program, primetime NBC television network, and the phone rings before the show aired. We don't want to air the gay kiss. I said, oh, please, come on. We fought these battles 20 years ago. Please, please, don't take it out. Come on, we're making some strides. And they left it in. And it cost NBC $600,000 in lost advertising revenue. That's how much sponsors dropped the show because of the gay kiss. And now comes Roseanne and all these other people. How come they don't lose them?
Everybody's doing it now, right? Okay.
Here's one that's rough. I do not believe this. I don't think we could get this on the air today. We're going to put it on now, and I assume that